Hello and welcome to SEOTalk live webinar. This is the second session of this particular series. This is our latest format after Twitter Chat and Twitter Spaces. We started it last month with Women in SEO series from like Women in India, and this is our second session. We generally host it on Saturdays, last Saturday of the month. So, welcome to our second live webinar of SEO Talk, and please join us to welcome our special guest of the day, Rishabh Dev. Thanks, man, for joining in, and super excited to host you today. Uh, we have with us our co-founder Malar Barai and our co-host Varun Kumar with us. So let us get started. Uh, Quickly jumping on to the agenda, we'll be discussing around how we can leverage ChatGPT for keyword research. And but before we get started, let's have a quick round of introduction from Rishabh. Uh, our audience already knows you. You have been on to SEO Talk a couple of times in the past, but uh, let us introduce yourself in front of the audience on live.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Parth. Thanks, Malhar. Thanks, Varun. So, thanks for the introduction. I think I've seen all the different formats of SEO Talk. I've been here for, starting with the Twitter chat, the spaces, and now here on live. Thanks again for the opportunity. I feel that, the introduction should be short. So, just to keep it brief, 12 years of experience in growth marketing, work as a consultant, run my own agency. I also train people on growth marketing, digital marketing on my website, which is growthgrad.com. And I've been, all in on ChatGPT and how we can optimize and leverage it for various marketing applications. So very excited to share what I've learned with all of you in terms of using ChatGPT in SEO specifically today, keyword research.
Thank you so much for your introduction. I have a very curious question, like I wanted to ask you, but let me ask in front of all. You moved to Southeast Asia probably when? I would want to know your quick story because Southeast Asia is growing rapidly. I've heard a lot about Mad Diggity and Chiang Mai, the SEO capital of India, and everything. And off lately, like we are finding very, very good resources out from Southeast Asia. So, can you please share some light around how's it going there? Why did you move? What was your early mover advantage?
Right. So, I think this has accelerated a lot after the pandemic, but I have been working remotely for like 6 years now. So much before, way before the pandemic. And I was sort of, I leveraged that situation because for a lot of years, I was able to get the tools, resources, and processes that you need to build up to work remotely. And specifically choosing Southeast Asia is another form of leverage because you can spend less and make more, right? So you get the currency arbitrage. When you go to a country like Indonesia, a lot of digital nomads are in Bali. Bali is supposed to be the crypto capital, but now it's changing a little bit. And Chiang Mai, like you rightly said, is the SEO capital. If you follow any YouTuber on SEO, they are probably making the video with Chiang Mai in the background. So you know that this is the place. मतलब सारे SEO वाले Chiang Mai में ही है. So now we need to sort of basically think about how these people are leveraging this situation. One is that you get a great environment to work in. You have cafes which are optimized for digital nomads. With people working remotely, it's better to choose a place where you have similar quality of life but low cost of living, but also access to clean air environment. So what I did is I actually explored the entire Southeast Asia. I traveled to 25 countries in 6 years, the past 6 years, and a lot of those
That's
countries
incredible.
in yeah, a lot of countries in Southeast Asia. I liked Southeast Asia the most, followed by Europe, specifically like Southern Europe. But yeah, Southeast Asia was the place where I thought, I would like to spend the next few years. And I kept visiting Vietnam again and again. I fell in love with Vietnam. Finally, I fell in love with a Vietnamese woman. We got married. I have a daughter now. So living in Vietnam now mostly. But we often go to Bali. It's very once you're there, You can go to Thailand in 1 hour. You can go to Bali in 1 hour. So you're just close to all of the happening places. So yeah, I think while my friends in IT are still in India, I feel digital marketeers, SEO, digital nomads should really explore traveling around Southeast Asia, because you find really like-minded people, and you find some people who are ahead of your journey, some people who are slightly at the same level, some people who are, you'll always find those three kinds of people in life. Some people who are still learning from you, and then you have this great exchange of resources and knowledge.
Fantastic, man. Like, thanks for sharing your incredible journey with us. Like, there are many aspiring marketers here in India who look forward to explore Southeast Asia, and those who are specifically in SEO always look forward to Chiang Mai and other nearby regions for SEO. Thanks for sharing that. Uh, let's quickly jump to today's topic, and we have a couple of folks joining us on live: Krishna, Karthik, Varun, and a couple more. So, thank you all for joining in. Please feel free to comment where are you joining from, and let's get started. So, with this advent of AI and generative content and tools like ChatGPT, Jasper, and there are a couple more. Uh, the workflows and processes and execution of SEO has changed a lot, and the dependency on tools like Ahrefs and SEMrush has probably reduced a bit. But how do you see this particular change of AI coming into the picture for SEO?
Right. So I feel I am the person who would try to get onto every new tool and sort of figure out if it helps optimize my workflow. See, the fundamental process always remains the same, and the tool set keeps on changing as the industry evolves. Right. So what I believe is you master the fundamental process, and then you add on superpowers with all of these tools that are available. I don't see this as a game where you try to save the money that you were spending on SEMrush or Ahrefs. I mean, given that these are quite expensive tools, some people are selling sort of ChatGPT on their YouTube videos, etc., as save your money on the SEO tools. I see it as a good mix. I see it as a good addition to the mix to accelerate certain things that you would have taken very long to do in the past. Like I remember we used to have people sitting on Google Sheets and Excels doing keyword research for very long. All of that, uh, as we'll discuss in this webinar further, can be replaced more or less with ChatGPT. Then the other aspect of it, which is like sort of all of this manual stuff that you were doing, right? You were making lists, you were generating ideas, you were classifying these keywords into different groups, you were finding LSI keywords, generating a list of questions related to keywords, making clusters. All of that can be done with AI. Now there is a certain benefit of combining this with tools like SEMrush and Ahref, because I believe that the real updated numbers will still be available on some of these tools, right? So if you look at the actual real keyword difficulty level or the estimated traffic, you won't get that much of a benefit trying to optimize ChatGPT for that. I think you should still use what each tool is best for. So with ChatGPT, you can do all of that process which I just mentioned, automate all of that process, like delegate all of that to ChatGPT, and we'll see how we can train ChatGPT to do all that. But you should still use real time data from certain tools which are specialized to do that, because they are not based on certain machine learning input. They are actually based on real search ranking data. So if you are, as data driven and as inclined, you should still combine all of the tools. But yes, I feel overall, to answer your question, it plays a good mix to leverage. So you should make your stack where you know exactly what ChatGPT is for and what this is for. Don't try to replace everything with ChatGPT. That's another like word of caution. You can replace it with a lot of things, but not with everything. At least as of today. Yeah.
Got it. Fantastic. Like, I am kind of flabbergasted. Like, you've been doing a lot of things you're doing growth hacking for SaaS brands, you're training, you are exploring new tools, setting up layers of new processes, and probably adding more new advanced tools to superpower your workflows. So I'll come to this point before we end on how productive you are and how is your approach being so much productive. But let's get started with kind of live business example and how we can use ChatGPT for keyword research. So over to you. Like you want to show something?
Sure, absolutely. I think we can do that. And before that, I would just like to say we are also open to taking examples if there is someone who is in the chat who wants to take their own business example. But meanwhile, until someone comments about that, I can share my screen and show you how I use ChatGPT at the moment, and you're actually getting a inside view on my entire ChatGPT here. But yeah, ChatGPT actually helped me summarize the agenda for this webinar as well, so we can more or less follow something like this.
Yep.
It's not a bad agenda given by ChatGPT, but in between we can take any questions that come. So first of all, disclaimer: I'm using ChatGPT Plus and I'm using GPT-4 for most of my conversations. I'm also using a plugin here, which is Keyword Everywhere's ChatGPT prompt templates, which help with a lot of SEO stuff. These are completely optional things. By the way, this is a free one, but these are completely optional things. And one thing before we start, which is important for everyone to understand, is if you're a beginner with ChatGPT, just make sure you keep a separate chat for all your keyword research. So don't mix chats inside ChatGPT so you can train it well. And if you run multiple businesses or you have different clients, then have one thread for each keyword research for each client. If you're a freelancer, for example, or if you have an agency, then this is a good approach to have one chat for each. Now, while I can show you some of the ways that I have used ChatGPT, I think I'll do it live with you guys so that you can see how I've trained ChatGPT to do this kind of stuff from scratch, where it's actually generating like keywords based on keyword intent, sorting it into groups, generating the semantically related terms, and also I'm using ChatGPT to gain topical authority on certain topics, right? Which is a big thing in SEO. If you're doing SEO today, starting in 2023, and you understand the EEAT and how YouTube works and how Google search works, then it's important to understand that gaining topical authority in a certain topic is key to SEO, right? And which I'm doing in my case for growth marketing. So you can see that ChatGPT is helping me with all of the related keywords that I can think of related to growth marketing, different businesses that I can apply growth marketing to. So this is sort of my own example because I'm trying to dominate this keyword, and this is the first thing that this is really the first thing that I've explained ChatGPT that this is the first thing that also I want to start with this webinar. Act as my SEO keyword research manager. Let's work together to gain topical authority on growth marketing by dominating search results for all the keywords related to it, right? And that's basically the starting point. And all of your knowledge in SEO is then summarized in different steps by ChatGPT that this is what we're going to do together. As your keyword research manager, I'll help you create a comprehensive plan to dominate search results and establish topical authority in growth marketing. So what I would suggest everyone to do is whatever business you're starting out, just copy this prompt, act as my SEO keyword research manager. Let's work together to gain topical authority on, and then just insert a seed keyword there. So if you're not sure, seed keyword is typically going to be two words. In my rule book, I always make it growth hacking or growth marketing. So it's 2-word keywords, and then just add by dominating the search results for the keywords related to it, and then you can follow the plan step by step. Now we all know this as SEO experts. Hopefully, we all know this plan, but sometimes putting it on paper, making it step by step, just makes it easier for us to follow. And ChatGPT is great at that. I use ChatGPT all the time as an accountability partner, so I can see that things are getting done. And ChatGPT can remind me, okay, this is the next step. Now this is the next step. So I don't have to use a separate project management tool and documentation software, etc. So first prompt of the webinar, it's actually a very powerful prompt because when you say act as my SEO keyword research manager, ChatGPT has to dig into its entire knowledge base of what a SEO keyword research manager should be like. And
Oh,
I'm not
fantastic.
saying SEO keyword research intern. I'm saying manager because I want it to be that level before it starts. Any
That's
questions?
that's that's quite uh, intriguing for me. Like, because it's not about just putting a prompt and getting a list of keywords. It's about kind of peeling layers of an onion. Like, you train it layer by layer and then you get your final result. So this is quite interesting. I'm not sure if the viewers who have already joined us and are commenting, have you folks used this until now on ChatGPT? Please comment below, and also please comment whatever if you want to ask Rishabh, and we can take it live. So yes, please do that.
Yeah, I would also say to follow, you can sort of replicate this across industries. So you can also say, act as my growth marketing manager. You can say, act as my content writer. But the act as my is sort of a magical prompt because it signals to ChatGPT that you have to be at this level, right? That's the skill level that you have to be before you answer this question. Unlike saying, give me keywords related to personal fitness, which is something that people would just type that prompt out and then ChatGPT, is it acting as a keyword research manager? No, it's just acting as an AI tool. So it's slightly different. And then the same thing can be extended to do different things. But that should be your first prompt because it sets the base, sets the fundamental for ChatGPT. It comes at that level, and then you can add layers on top of that.
All right, fantastic.
Mm,
um,
yep.
there are a couple of questions coming into it, so do we want to take it now, or we proceed and we take the questions later on?
Sure. Let me show you guys a few prompts
Sure.
before we take the first questions. But if there's any industry you'd like me to pick in the comments, then I can pick that industry. I can pick that particular
Sure.
business model. Yeah.
So one of the industries is fintech, and the other one suggested is immigration services.
Okay. Immigration services is quite interesting. Is it for so immigration services for Indians to immigrate to specific
Uh,
countries?
it's immigration services based in Australia,
Right.
for Australia. Yeah.
Right. Assuming for the Indian target audience, right?
Yep. Yes.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to open a new chat so that everyone can see. And I'm going to start with the same thing which we just discussed. So I'm going to say act as my SEO manager, right? So in this case, since we are doing keyword research, I'm going to make it more specific. You can always insert something else here. So you can say technical SEO manager, link building manager, and those kinds of things will get you different responses. But for the sake of this webinar, I'm going to say act as my SEO keyword research manager. Um, my business provides. Now you have to explain a little bit about your business because I haven't shown you my entire chats, but I have actually prompted and explained ChatGPT about my business in advance. And this is called prepping. So you have to prep before you prompt. That's the important thing to remember. If you prompt directly, you're going to get the average results. If you prep before you prompt, you're going to get customized, personalized results. So my business
That's the
provides.
first takeaway for. Sorry to interrupt, but that's the first takeaway for today's session. Before you prompt, you should prep. Prep before you prompt. Yes, please go for it.
Exactly. For Indians who want to move to Australia, now, what services? I'm going to explain it a little bit more. So the services include who is the person who's asking this question? Maybe you can give us more insight. I think this would be visa. What else? Visa services and other related services. Okay. What should be the main focus keywords for my business website? So I'm just the reason why I'm asking what should be the main focus keywords on my business website, I'm not just going to copy paste these keywords and use them. Is I want to understand that ChatGPT has understood my business or not. So that's the only reason why I've added that question. You see that in my previous prompt, which I was using for my own business, I was not using that prompt because I know ChatGPT knows my business pretty well by now. I even have a virtual assistant called Jenny who I've trained. Jenny is ChatGPT, but a virtual assistant for my business. So I've been training that thread for quite a while. But in this case, I just want to make sure that it's understood. So it's saying, okay, immigration services for Indians in Australia, Australian visa services for Indians, Indian migration to Australia. Those are pretty good keywords. Indian migration to Australia, Australian immigration services for Indians, visa assistance. So whoever's business this is, kindly confirm if these are the right. For me, they sound like quite relevant keywords for this business. And then it goes on to even say that we should use this in the website content meta tags, etc., which we'll get to later. But so far, these 10 keywords sound good, right? Now, what you could do as a layer on top of this is make a table of the keywords along with the keyword intent, right? So ChatGPT knows what keyword intent is, and in fact, it explains it quite well. So this is where you can actually see if a keyword is informational slash transactional. In these cases, the 10 keywords fall into either of these categories. And then it also explains what the users are looking for from your website. Because if you answer those questions, then you're likely to rank better for those keywords,
That's
right?
really, really interesting.
So
And with just probably three prompts, like we have got keywords with intent.
right, and you also see that in this case, for example, people are actually looking for assistance, like they need help with their visa application process, but in this case they just need general information about the services for Indians available, right? So that also is pretty powerful. The other thing that I typically do after this is I would um, categorize add a column to categorize the keywords into keyword groups, which is something that we typically do manually on Google Sheets, etc., and takes so much time. So now you know that these are the categories, and typically these will complement the menu on your website. So if you have immigration services, visa services, migration, those kinds of menu items on your website should then have pages, which we will do next. We will ask ChatGPT to write the page titles, etc., for each keyword, and then make this your focus keyword for each of those pages, right? So that's like splitting it into the keyword group, right? So Parth, any questions in between for follow-up questions, feel free to just
Sure.
shout out and I will
Uh,
answer them.
the audience is awestruck. They are enjoying it and they're finding it super, super valuable. So,
Awesome. So we'll continue in that case. Okay.
yeah,
So this is this is so far so good, but we're gonna still add to the magic. Um, Add a column with suggested page titles and meta descriptions for each keyword, right? This is where you actually can translate it to execution. Now, by the way, I'm doing this for 10 keywords. You could do it for 100, you could do it for 50. That's where the power is. But I don't want it to take forever to load the answers. So this is what it says. Keyword intent, keyword group, suggested page title, immigration services for Indians in Australia, and then your business name. Looking for reliable immigration service for Indians in Australia? Your business name is here to help. Contact us for assistance with. You see that it's also included your secondary keywords without even asking inside the meta descriptions. Didn't even ask about secondary descriptions yet. So that's how powerful it is. Now you have the page, like literally the suggested page title. What's the intent for the page? So you can write content, and you can ask ChatGPT to write the content later as well. The keyword, and then what the meta description should be. Typically, I would still tell ChatGPT, keep my meta description under X amount of characters. If I'm using a certain, of course, like Google has its own, but I have my own for my websites. Like on my personal website, I do not make more than 100 characters just to maintain consistency. You can rewrite, you can ask ChatGPT to rewrite things that you don't like. That's another thing that you can do. But more or less, this is like a very powerful setting point, starting point for your journey. And
This
I
is
can go on and on. I can go on and on, and this table would become a master SEO keyword research tracker, which we'll do. But I would like to pause for any questions before we do that.
sure. Um, think so. There's one question from Krishna. Does ChatGPT give you the report as well of this research? So I
So
think
so
so.
if yeah, I think if you're mentioning like you need like you're specifically asking for references. Not sure if I'm clear on the
Yeah,
question.
yeah. Probably she is asking for that. Yeah.
Right. So if you're looking for ChatGPT for these SEO, at least for what we've done so far, it's fetching from its own data points. But if you ask it to create a report, in that case, like when you actually ask it to write content with statistics, etc., in that case, you can ask the references. I personally use copy.ai for that because copy.ai actually gives you very relevant references which are updated. ChatGPT, by the way, has a cutoff for September 2021. So if you want like really updated references, I would suggest doing a little bit of your own research to add those statistics in. So what I would do is I think this question is more about the verification of the data points. And what I would do is I would actually just expand on this and then verify it for myself. As you have seen so far, I have not asked ChatGPT to make a column for keyword difficulty, which it can. If I ask ChatGPT to add a column with the keyword difficulty and the estimated monthly traffic, it can do that as well. But for that, I would just use SEMrush. And to be very honest, I think that's more reliable for those data points because it gives you recent data. I mean, ChatGPT could have valid data, but what if it's data from 2020 or 21? It may not be very relevant for you. So I know there are YouTube videos who show you that you can make keyword difficulty level. I've read blogs from very reputed, I won't mention the names, very reputed websites who talk about adding keyword difficulty level from ChatGPT. But you can do this experiment yourself. I don't want to teach something that I personally don't rely on. So if you do that, I mean, it's a simple prompt. I can just say add a column with keyword difficulty level. It's just going to add the keyword difficulty level. There's no doubt about that. But if you were to import that sheet on either Ahref or SEMrush, you'll find the data to be very off compared to what you get from Ahref or SEMrush, which will be 10-15% here or there. But with ChatGPT, it could be like 30-40% difference. So you won't know which one to rely on. And hence, I would still recommend going with a specialized tool that does this. I personally use SEMrush. I don't think there's anything wrong with using any of those tools out there, but not ChatGPT for finding keyword difficulty level and
And
estimating research.
we don't know yet like where it refers from, the keyword difficulty thing or the search volume thing. Does it show references when we pull that data from
No,
ChatGPT?
it won't. It will just say that these are not the exact numbers. I mean, just as a thought experiment,
Yeah.
add a column with it. Not recommended. Please don't watch only this part of the recording and then blame me for the keyword difficulty level for each keyword on the table. Actually, it should give you a disclaimer as well that don't rely on this data. Yeah. So as
Okay.
it actually does add keyword difficulty level, but it's a bit random, as ChatGPT, right? So it's a bit random where sometimes it'll just respond saying we don't know what the data is. Sometimes it just adds the keyword difficulty level, so that it's random because it's just added it for the sake of adding it. So
Got it.
I've got cases where it just added this. For example, I was doing it for a friend who's like a fitness trainer. Here's an updated table format. So I was like, add search volumes and keyword difficulty level, and I just added fitness quote 1600 per month, 38. So it's wrong, right? Because
True.
that fitness coaching is not 38 and 1600 per month. It's much more than that in terms of both keyword difficulty level and search volume. So it's random. So things which I have tested do not work. I don't want to share that as well.
That's so kind of you, like sharing ahead with our audience. And so please, as Rishabh said, like please don't refer to search volume and keyword difficulty data because it's kind of outdated. ChatGPT has been trained until September 2021. So
Correct.
there are a couple of more questions to this layer, and one of them is, can we ask uh, ChatGPT to give a specific number of keywords per uh, topic or per cluster? And is all of these possible through ChatGPT 4 only, or is it possible on the lower version as well?
So the new chat that I've just started, I made sure that I started it in 3 because everyone may not have access to 4. So this is the one that we are doing is on 3, and that's why it just did not. Probably that's the reason why it did not give me the table. But this one was on 4, so it actually did give me the table on 4. I still wouldn't rely on it, but yeah, most of the other things which are reliable, you should be able to do on 3. Just given that the memory and slightly, I found for long term maintaining like a SEO assistant, etc., it's better to go with 4. So if like it's a good investment, I would say. If someone is thinking about on the fence, thinking about lena hai ki nahi lena hai, then go for ChatGPT Plus. It'll be a worthwhile investment for sure. It's more mature, to be very honest. I don't know how else to put it. There are many ways that people say. I feel it's not, like ChatGPT free wala is an intern, and this one is a person with 2 years of experience. That's for me. That's the difference. So I would rather work with a person with
That's
2 years of experience than an intern.
that's really like a relatable analogy. That's quite cool. Like the 3.5 version or the ChatGPT 3 version is kind of a fresher thing, and this is kind of a more trained, more experienced. So yeah, that
Right.
was
I
an
think
interesting.
no offense to freshers and interns. We also have time to learn. But yeah, since we are already on the screen, you also see that we have something called semantically related terms. If you're already in SEO, you know what this means, and that's just another column that you can just ask ChatGPT to add. Add a column for at least 3 semantically related terms, which brings me to the other question, which was about how many keywords, etc. So I think that strategy should come to you onto ChatGPT. Now imagine this, if you were in a company where you hired a SEO manager and you were already following a strategy of doing one seed keyword and then one focus primary keyword and 3 semantically related keywords, let's say for each piece of content, then you would just follow that strategy even if you had a new manager, right? But you would have different ways of approaching the same goal. So for me, it's 3, and I think it should depend on what you guys like. If you like 2, you like 5, you like 6. I like to have 3 semantically related keywords within each focus keyword. That's just my approach. So I think you should give your strategy to ChatGPT. If you ask ChatGPT how many keywords should you have, optimized for, it's a very random answer again. So important to give your strategy, and that's why people who use AI are the most powerful people who come with their own strategy and then use AI to get results. And that's why someone who's just starting out with SEO may not get the same results from ChatGPT, and that's why the playing field is still, I feel, very balanced.
Fantastic. No, that's quite helpful, and it's obviously worthwhile investment. There's a question from copywriter. What are your thoughts on using these AI tools for SEO content? Does it work for ranking, or is it just going to be a case where all the content is just paraphrased?
Yeah, again, it depends on how you prompt ChatGPT, and yes, it does work for ranking if you prompt it the right way. That's what I've been doing, and in the past 3 months, I've ranked for 6 new keywords on the first page of Google, which are competitive keywords in my business, using Sophie. Sophie is my SEO content writer, and this is Sophie. So Sophie remembers the brand colors, the keywords, everything. This is all Sophie. So I've trained Sophie for a very long time on creating content for my digital marketing agency, and yeah, Sophia, and it creates tables for my blogs. It creates content for my blogs, and the best thing is it creates 100% human-like content. So if you copy the content that Sophie creates in a AI detector tool like Writer.ai, these websites have their own tools. CopyLeaks has another one. You'll find that it's 100% human content, and that's because I've trained Sophie to create human content. And I can show you guys an example. Yes, I think this is not a webinar for content creation, but just since there was a question, I can show you. And old example.
No, that would be really interesting thing. Like, please go ahead.
Sure, awesome. So today you'll help me write an article on a new keyword. You will be writing it as Mapping's digital marketing agency, which is my agency. Sure, I'm ready to help you. Please share the keyword and any specific requirements. Um, and then this is the magic prompt. So instead of using ChatGPT and then creating the content and then running it through a tool which translates it into a human content which you have to pay for again, you can just ask ChatGPT, remember to write like a human. Sorry, I missed that right, but it understood. It should not sound like AI generated content. This is a very good hack. So if you just tell ChatGPT, it should not sound like AI generated content, it actually writes human like content. And it says, and I always make sure that I just tell something to ChatGPT and I make sure it understands before I give my main prompt. So it needs a little bit of patience, but it says, okay, understood. I will make sure to write the article with the keywords, ensures it provides value to the reader while sounding like human generated content. Okay. So you have to make sure that ChatGPT understood that. Then I go on and explain the keyword. The keyword is Shopify email versus Klaviyo. By the way, I am ranking on the first page of this keyword within a few weeks for the US audience. So it's pretty magical. I want you to explain the differences between Shopify email and Klaviyo, just so that you know at Maplings we use Klaviyo for email marketing. So at the end of the article, we will have a CTA to pitch our Klaviyo services, right? Just to make sure that ChatGPT understands what we are going to do at the end. So it's important to keep prepping first, like what we said earlier. Understood. I can help you with that. Shall we start with an outline for the article? So if ChatGPT does not tell you this, you have to tell ChatGPT, start with an outline. That's really important. Don't start with the article, start with the outline. The reason why is because then you can modify the outline first before you get the content from ChatGPT and customize the outline for your requirement. Otherwise, you're going to get average content, like I said. Average prompting equals average output. So, sure, give me the outline. So now it goes on, okay, here's the outline. Introduction, Shopify Mail, Klaviyo, key differences. Why choose Klaviyo? Now it knows that we're going to sell Klaviyo. So it actually says why choose Klaviyo for email marketing. Discussion of the experience and expertise of Mapling's team in using Klaviyo. Now, this definitely does not sound like AI generated content because talking about my agency and how we use it. So it's personalized. And then conclusion, and then I can revise the outline. So I can say, add another point in the outline about how Klaviyo works with Shopify. So it updates the outline. And you see that it's using my keyword really well. So it's using my Shopify email versus Klaviyo keyword pretty well, Shopify email and Klaviyo. So it's using it, sorry, in different formats, in different ways, different phrases, restructured it, Shopify email and Klaviyo, Klaviyo and Shopify email, Klaviyo. Without doing an exact match, it's still including my keyword really well. So now I told it to add this particular thing about how Klaviyo works with Shopify, right? So it just adds that explanation of how Klaviyo integrates with Shopify. So this is good. Please suggest some titles. And now you see in the titles as well, you will see that it's including my keyword, Shopify email versus Klaviyo. It's in fact including the keyword at the beginning of the title, right? So it's doing all of your checklists, all of your on-page SEO checklist by itself. Then in some cases, it's including it somewhere in between. Here it's including it at the beginning. Here it's including it somewhere in between. So it's never at the end of the title. We didn't have to tell it that, So since we have
So,
already said act as my SEO manager, it already knows where to include the keyword.
so I just have a quick question here. Like, did you train ChatGPT for this, or was it just a new chat and it automatically acted as SEO manager?
I started with the same prompt, act as my SEO manager.
Okay,
So,
and
you
that's
know,
why it's smart enough to.
exactly. Once you say act, I know my friends who even say act as my intern, but that's not that experience. So I always say act as my manager because ChatGPT has this database of how SEO managers should be like, right? And then you can use that learning of how a good ideal SEO manager should be like without all of the human disadvantages of being human, and then use that and then put it into place. Right? So
Got
you're
it.
you're leveraging, you're standing on top of giants already. So you see that it's learned to respond to me in a way that, do you approve? It's sort of like, do you approve, right? Do you catch it? Do you do any of these? So it's a two-way conversation. It's not something where you go write a blog about Shopify email versus Klaviyo. I know people prompt like this, so all of you know that you've been guilty of doing that sometime, right? So in this case, it's really like getting approvals from me, and then I say, okay, let's use this. I like this one. And then this is where the next sort of tip comes in. Make sure that you create content one point at a time. So I will say write the introduction first. And the reason why I do that is I could have said write the entire blog, but there are two or three reasons why I do this. One is you can get a longer form content because every response will have a cap. So if you write one point at a time, you will get focused response on that point. The second thing is if you don't like something on that introduction, you can say, I don't like this. And then ChatGPT will learn from that. And uske baad, the other points that ChatGPT will write will include the learning that you gave it. Right?
That's
So
quite
always write
interesting.
one point at a time. Yeah.
That's quite interesting. Generally, so again, like to do this whole exercise, like you started from keyword research to outline to again prepping up to change the outline, and then once the outline is finalized, you are prepping up for which title to choose, and then you start writing it subtopic by subtopic. So how much time does it take to write this whole content, like to train and get the whole output, like in any approximate time frame?
Right. So the first time you're training where you're saying act as is your manager, this is what I do, this is what my business. Of course, there's a little bit of extra time that you will need the first time, but it pays off versus training a person. Let's be very honest, right? So
Yeah.
if I would train a person on this, they would fall sick, they would have some family emergency, they would take leaves, they would take offs, they will forget some things, they will forget where to put the keyword. You remove all of those limitations. So below average team members or below average people can easily be replaced. Now, if you're really good, if you have your own inputs, if you have your own strategy, if you really know how to use ChatGPT, those are the people that we can still hire, right? So I'm being a little harsh here, but this is what it is. This once you train it, it'll always remember the way that you train it. So before I used to ask it after every statement, "Do you understand?" But now I don't, and it just asks me the questions itself, right?
Oh, that's
And
that's quite helpful. Yeah.
correct. So then it's just like what I'm doing is just copy pasting from the outline. So this does not really take time. I'm just copy pasting that saying right, and then copy paste that first point, copy paste the second point, and then I sometimes I would ask it to restructure a point based on bullets. So it's also finding out which one has A/B testing, which tool does not have A/B testing. Like really, then I even sometimes ask change the bullet points to emojis. This is more human-like. Then I would ask it to now see. I asked it to change the points to emojis. Imagine how much time a person would take to do this, right? The other thing I would say is this is where the magic happens. After this, ChatGPT knew that I like emojis. I like to use emojis in my content. So for the next point, it used emojis by itself. I didn't have to ask it. Right?
That's
So
interesting as well.
so then it gets this, and then I say, okay, don't use emojis. Do this. Write five pricing features, integrations. Make a comparison table between Shopify email and Klaviyo. It makes a comparison table. Imagine how much time that would take, right? Write the next point. Now it see this is where the power is. I just copy pasted right why choose Mapplinks. It really explains add Mapplinks. Now I am Mapplinks, right? So this is not from its knowledge database, it's just from my prepping. At Mapplinks, we understand the importance of effective email marketing. Our team has years of experience. With our Klaviyo services, you can do this. If you copy this, paste it in AI detection tool, 100% human content, because this is not algorithm content. Right? At Mapplinks, we are committed to helping you. Contact us today. Cool. Then I gave it case studies. I told it these are the case studies we achieved for other e-commerce stores. Then says, thank you. Are these real case studies or are they samples? I was like, yes, they are real. And then it rewrote the content to include the case studies that my agency has achieved in the content.
Okay, so that again adds up more value, and this clearly justifies that this is human based, research
Exactly.
based content. Yeah.
Right. And then I asked it, okay, now suggest ideas for the featured image. I don't want to think about that as well. So split screen image. The next thing you can do is open Microsoft Designer, copy paste this. It's going to create a graphic for you. It's like AI Canva plus AI. So that's another tool that you guys can try out. And then I forgot which color to give Microsoft designers. So I asked, what is the hex color of Shopify? Okay, this is the hex color. So I can just copy paste it so it can make the banner. So yeah, this whole this whole article was created with AI. It is ranking on the first page. There are many articles that I'm trying to use AI to get it to the first result, which are ranking on the second or third result. Like growth marketing dictionary is one of my keywords. A3R3 funnel is another keyword. So if you search for any of these keywords, like A3R3 funnel, Maplinks is pretty much ranking on the first page since a long time. My other website ranks on the second result, and my personal website ranks on the third result. So like I'm occupying the first three results of this keyword. And what I do is if like one keyword is ranking for a third or fourth result, I will just update it. Like growth marketing dictionary is a nice one. Um, you guys can also search for this just to verify. But this one is ranking on the second result, and it has 75 terms which are related to growth marketing. And what I'm doing now is I'm trying to target it to the first result, and I'm asking ChatGPT to update the list with 101 terms of growth marketing. And this is beautiful because what I did is I made here's a list. Look at this. I said, now let's create the previous thread was for something else. Let's create a glossary about growth marketing. And then it gave me a list of terms, around 40 terms. But I already have 75 terms, so I'm not going to add any value to people by giving 40. Like it's not. So then I said, this is beautiful. I gave it my link, which is my link, which is already ranking on the second result. Add any terms you may have missed using this reference. This is a beautiful process because you would need human intervention here, but it just went on the link and it added all of the terms that were missing from the link. And then I gave it another one which is ranking on the first, third, fourth result. I picked up all of the dictionaries of growth marketing and I said add any additional terms relevant from growth marketing. This is a beautiful way to get topical authority in your particular business. So you could do it for personal finance, fitness, immigration services. Add any additional terms that are relevant to growth marketing from this link. And then it added more terms. Now it got 101. I was like, okay, that's great. We have 101. Now I said, can you write a blog post that explains all of the 101 terms in brief? I stopped it. And I said, let's do one thing. Let's just start with 10. And now I'm just making it learn. With every 10, I'm going to give it feedback. And then we're going to update this with 101 terms and optimize to rank it on the first result. But the beautiful thing is you can literally try this out. Like this one, yes, you will need the plus version, but you can give it links and it can find those additional terms and put it in your list.
Fantastic. Like the most interesting part of this was like if we are referring to skyscraper technique, which was shared by Brian Dean, like this could be easily achieved. Like this was a similar case where there's already someone ranking on the first position with 40-50 tips, and if you want to scale it.
Exactly. And the best part is you guys can literally give some terms. This is magic, right? So if you search for top 10 terms related to SEO, you can give it some terms like this, like see which one is ranking on the first result. Like this was a snippet ranking, but I would just pick the terms.
I think so.
And
If you're trying to show something else, like your screen is just showing ChatGPT.
okay.
No problem. That's fine.
I'm back on ChatGPT. So what I
Yeah.
did is I searched
Yep.
for top 10 terms related to SEO, and then I picked the first result, and then I said instead of top 10, I said top 50 terms related to SEO. And then I would just, I just copy pasted this from that blog. And then I would say continue. So see, I just copied the top 10 and then I said continue. It created a list of 50. This is magical. You can even say top 100 and then say continue at the end. And then it's going to just expand on that list. Just say continue. Don't even to say find more terms or something like that. Just say continue. And now you have a list of 100 terms. right?
Oh,
Make it
this
in
is
a
super powerful.
yeah, make it in a table format and add um, is sorry semantically related keywords for each term. You can fit 2 or 3 semantically related keywords, but now you'll have 100 SEO terms with all of the related keywords for that particular term. So with keyword, you have long tail keywords, short tail keyword research, keyword density, and with this, you can basically just dominate the internet. Once you, the whole thing is you have a really good place to execute from, and you don't really need to go outside of ChatGPT. Like I hardly even go now to like uh, Google Sheets. I just ask it to remember everything. Sometimes I used to go to Google Docs, but now I just ask it, remember this, we'll come back to it later. So it's like mini docs inside of ChatGPT. But now you have all of these, and then you can add a column for page titles and start working on each content with ChatGPT. Make a dictionary of 101 SEO terms. You can do magic from here. I use this for creating courses as well. Since I create online courses, I just ask it to. I'm creating a course on how to use ChatGPT for SEO keyword research. Then I would say lesson one, how to prep ChatGPT before prompting. This is just an example. Lesson two, how to get keyword ideas using a seed keyword. And then what you can say is you can just say continue. Now, let's say you can't think of new lessons. It's going to make lesson three, lesson four, lesson five, lesson five, lesson six, right? So it actually gives you all of those ideas. So how to define keywords with ChatGPT is contextual understanding, how to use ChatGPT for long tail keyword research, how to evaluate keyword competition search volume, which I don't recommend again, advanced tips and tricks for using ChatGPT for keyword research, best practices, tools. So whenever you run out of keyword ideas, you can just put some keywords and then say continue. You can use it for any idea, actually.
This is real magic. Like it's how you prep and prompt, but the more time you spend with ChatGPT and learn yourself, like how to prep it, prompt it, and then you can leverage it to its full potential.
Right. On this note, some of you might already be using like Google Suggestions or answerthepublic.com or Google Trends, etc. But questions are really useful. So this is what I often do. Like for growth marketing, I just ask, like, give it a seed keyword. So generate a list of. Um, I'm going to pick up the immigration business since we started with that. Generate a list of questions related to, and then you just put your immigration services or whatever seed keyword you have. So I put usually growth marketing. So when people search for something. So then you can make like blogs about each of these because these are like frequently asked questions. Typically, what types of immigration services are available? How can immigration services help me with my visa applications? Um, what is the process for appealing a visa application rejection? This is where they might need your services. What are the eligible? You know that these are valid questions because this is what your audience typically asks you. With family sponsorship, a lot of people might,
Yep.
yeah, whatever that is. But just ask it for the questions instead of, you don't have to go to Answer the Public or some separate tool for this. Yeah, of course, you can feed the list from Answer the Public. You can export it and then import it here and then ask it to generate even more related questions. So all of this you can do. And then if you just think that you already wrote all of these 20 blogs, then you can just say continue and then you can get 15 more questions right there.
So this kind of, since last 45 minutes we've been going on with a lot of incredible insights. Like you have been working on this since last maybe more than 2 months and experimented with it, and you have this proven way of using ChatGPT in the most productive way. So so we are in the last phase of this particular webinar, and like last couple of minutes, like 10 minutes to go max. uh, so let's open up for more questions, and before we wrap it up, like do you want to give some advice who are just starting out? Like you started out probably 2 3 months back when ChatGPT was here, And this is not rocket science. You took out your time and gave it like full throttle and experimented with it, came up with your own tactics. So how, for someone who is just starting out, and the listeners who are here, so can you please share your 2 cents on it?
Sure. I think this is fundamentally like it starts off with a mindset thing. So I would like to point out that it's a mindset game. What I feel is, I've got a lot of results for my clients with growth marketing, etc. I just feel that whatever the way that I've been doing things until now is just not efficient. I just keep that in my mind, even if it is getting results or whatever. And I think most people get emotional about the way that they are doing things. They don't want to adopt something new. They don't want to experiment with something new. I just feel there's always a better way to do something. So if a new tool comes, I want to test it out first. I want to see if this is something that I can adopt to improve my process. So I always experiment with that. Like that's the first mindset thing, that just experiment to see what can improve your process. And I'll be the first one to, I bought an annual subscription to Jasper and Copy.ai and monthly Chat GPT because I put the money out there because then I could test them out. I was forced to test them out after paying for it. And then I realized, okay, this can improve my process and this cannot. Okay, it's a 1 year investment, it's gone. But you do a monthly one, it's even better. And then you're like, okay, let's get back to this process. Let's include this tool here. And digital marketing is always done in layers, right? So you cannot learn SEO in a overnight, or you cannot execute any digital marketing campaign overnight. You learn it in layers. There are so many channels. There are so many specializations. So I always, keep adding to my layers. That's how I see it. I just keep adding a layer on top of the other. If that layer does not serve me, I eliminate it. But if it serves me, I just add it to my mix. And that's what I've done with AI. If there is any new tool that comes in, I experiment it. In fact, I had literally blocked out my calendar for a few days just to chat with ChatGPT. So client meetings, everything, not important. I think this is the future and it is the present for me because I'm already using it. Um, you know, I'm trying to optimize as much as possible with ChatGPT. I have a startup for that. I've trained ChatGPT to be my co-founder. There are different ways that you can use it, but this one I really blocked out days on my calendar and like just to chat with ChatGPT. You have to spend that kind of time to experiment and then look for prompts. One thing I did not show you guys is the extension. So yes, initially you can use an extension like Keywords Everywhere has a good extension which lets you copy paste their prompts. But I don't think that's the best approach long term, because if you write your own prompts, then you'll get better at prompt engineering, as they call it. You'll basically get better at writing prompts because that's the future of work, right? You have to get better at writing prompts.
And there are a couple more. One, as you mentioned, from Keywords Everywhere. There's one more from AIPRM or something like that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, those are good to get probably started or in initial
Yeah.
days. But if we are looking forward to have human written or personalized output, we will have to spend time and train
Yeah,
those
I got
particular.
so many like Notion templates. I purchased so many templates which have SEO prompts and growth marketing prompts. I never use them because I realized that those prompts are not about my business, right? Like my prompts should be about my business. So I explain it the way that I talk. I also explain it in my tonality and language. You can literally ask ChatGPT to create content in any language, using any kind of slang. Um, so, so I wanted to personalize it a lot.
Fantastic. There are a couple of questions before we wrap up. There's one from copywriter. What happens if all your competitors start doing what you are doing?
See, that's the beautiful part about the way I showed you the prompts is that their output will be very different from my output. And if they train ChatGPT to speak my language, then all the content will sound like my content. Especially in growth marketing, we have very few players who run growth marketing courses, so everyone knows what they sound like. But yeah, I think the important thing is, like I said, keep revising the output. Tell it to add your personality, make it human like, add emojis if you like emojis, add slang if you like. I have a client who uses Australian slang in their content, so it literally asks ChatGPT rewrite it with Australian slang. So and it did it, and it started with like good day mate, and then it started like with the whole Australian slang, etc. So the more you can personalize it, the better. Also, you will have certain advantage of creating content early on. So if everyone copies you later, that happens in every place, not just AI. That happens everywhere. You see Twitter threads being copied. You see LinkedIn posts being copied and reposted. So it's not just AI. A lot of people are saying, AI में ये problem है, but ये problem हर channel पे है, right? So YouTube videos, someone make a YouTube video and then 10 people make the same video. So that problem is everywhere. But the one who makes that first video gets an advantage. Like if you guys are here in the webinar, you're probably like way early adopters, right? So if you start working on this, executing, you'll have the advantage. So whoever does it first will typically have an advantage in any space. This copy pasting thing happens everywhere, not just AI.
Awesome. There's one question from yeah. Don't you think internet will be filled with AI content in next 1 year? What is the future of SEOs?
Hope so. I hope so. I'm tired of reading below average human generated content. So human written. I mean, you know how content writers are, right? If you go and hire content writers, you'll see that the quality. It really depends on how well skilled they are. At least this is like ChatGPT is getting everyone to this decent amount of level. Um, Google has already, published on their Search Central that they don't mind AI content. Before there was a lot of confusion about this. Will they ban AI content, etc.? So that's not a problem anymore. Now the problem is how do you personalize it and how do you make it stand out of all of the other content, like you said, that ideally should the internet should be filled with. I hope that the adoption rate is so high that the internet is filled with AI content. I don't see it happening, even though all the tools are out there. I still see people writing content, and not to that. I mean, there are good people writing good content as well, but then there are people writing average content as well. So I would say internet should be filled with very high quality, personalized content, and use AI whenever it is needed to help in the process of creating that content. That's how I would summarize my answer.
That was jam of an advice. Like, thank you so much for sharing it across with our community. Uh, so before we finally wrap it, do you want to share something for our audience who want to learn more about ChatGPT? Are you planning to launch something, your course or some uh, probably ebooks or tutorials or anything? So please
Right.
leave your yes.
I was
Please.
supposed to launch the course already by 1st of May, but it has got extended a little bit. So I'm working on a video course on how to use ChatGPT for all of the areas of marketing. And I'm also launching a course on how to use ChatGPT as an entrepreneur, as a digital entrepreneur. So those are the two courses I'm working on. All of the information will be available. My courses are on growthgrad.com, growthgrad, grad.com, and also on my YouTube channels. The YouTube channel is Maplinks, Mapplinks. And on the YouTube channel, you'll already find my 30 days growth marketing course, which is a free course that anyone can take. And on top of that, the Growth Grad website will, hopefully by the end of next month, have the ChatGPT course as well.
Fantastic. Uh, will this course be a paid one or a free one?
So we have both. Like we have a free course that would eventually, if you want to take it to the next level, we'll have an advanced course as well, which is a paid one. But the YouTube channel would get all the free videos up, and then the paid course will be hosted on my academy, which is growthgrad.com, where I also have like one-on-one consultation, group consultation sessions, etc. with students. It's like a cohort-based course. So now all my pre-recorded videos, I just post them on YouTube for free, and the cohort based courses are now I think the way to go, where people are able to ask their questions, answer questions, sort of like a long version of this webinar which lasts for a few weeks.
Fantastic. So probably try an attempt to give our community something. So and as well as like, will you offer any discounts for SEO community for any of your paid courses by any chance?
Sure, why not? I mean, we can send out an email to you guys with a code for the community. Why not? I love your
Fantastic.
community. I see amazing questions here.
So those of you who are attending it live or who maybe probably watch it afterwards once this live session is recorded and pushed on our YouTube channel. So please join our community on Facebook group, and we'll be sharing more details when the course is launched. But thank you so much, Rishabh, for your time and valuable insights for our community. It's always been a pleasure to invite you on SEO Talk, and you are probably the first guest after our women in SEO session that was dedicated to women in SEO for the month of March. But you are our official first guest for this new format. So thank you so much for accepting our invitation and joining us. Uh, we'll look forward to have you in next couple of quarters and wish you a great weekend.
Thank you. Thanks, Parth. Thanks, everyone, for being there. See you guys later.
Thank you, everyone. This is your host, Parth, signing off. Thank you. Thank you.